Hello world and welcome back to another episode of the vlog series that goes to the end of every metro line in Shanghai, looking for the interesting, the extraordinary and the unusual. Now today we'll be jumping on line 14, Shanghai's newest metro line. No, they don't actually open them up in numerical order, and that runs right under Shanghai's heart out to Pudong. So let's get on board.
Did you ever look at a map and wonder, where are these places? What's out there? Well, maybe it's just me, but I decided it's time to find out. I'm travelling to the end of every metro line in Shanghai in search of the interesting, the extraordinary and the unusual. So let's go to the end of the line.
Today we start out at Fengbang in Shanghai's west, head through Shanghai's center, past Jing'an Temple and the famous Yuyuan Gardens, dip underneath the Huangpu River into Pudong, past Lujiazui and all the way out to the eastern terminus of line 14 at Guiqiao Road. So we've made it out here to Fengbang, the start of line 14, and there's really not much out here. Some old tower blocks there on this side, construction site down there for more tower blocks, and some factories over this side, and the occasional aeroplane leaving from Hongqiao Airport right underneath the departure flight path. So not much else here to see. Let's jump back on the metro and start our journey. Is actually the newest metro line in Shanghai, despite the fact that it's opened after line 15, 16, 17 and 18. And it is entirely driverless, though Shanghai Metro insists on putting an employee up the front of every train just to make sure nothing goes wrong. But that does give us some great views out of the front or the back as we're travelling. So even though this is the first driverless metro line I'm featuring on this channel, line 15 was actually open first, and line 17 just after that, before line 14 was opened. And line 10 was actually built entirely automatically, but still with drivers there to open and close the doors and push the start button. Caoyang Road. Now, other than line 3 and 4 metro, the trolley bus station behind me and an abandoned derelict former shopping centre, there's one new building just around the corner that I'd like to go and show you. And that's this, the China Power Engineering Electrical Design Institute. And from the top floor of this second-hand car market next door, we can see its main architectural feature, this enormous spiral ramp on the side of the building, which looks kind of cool. Seems to be a good spot for the occupants of the building to go for smoko, and I guess it acts as a nice emergency exit as well. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. There's definitely been a lot more attention paid to the architecture and interior design on this latest batch of metro lines here in Shanghai. As we can see here at Caoyang Road, some interesting relief pattern, various scenes around Shanghai, and we'll see a little bit more of that at our next stop. Made it here to Yuyuan Gardens, and this section here on line 14 is actually the deepest metro station in Shanghai. Not quite the deepest metro station in the world, which is in Chongqing. I visited recently. As I mentioned, the newer metro lines in Shanghai, line 14, 15 and 18, had a lot more emphasis placed on the architecture of the stations, and here at Yuyuan Gardens is no exception. Now, the design represents the flow of the water in the nearby Huangpu River, as well as the flow of people and trains throughout the Shanghai Metro itself. And these changing lights in this wavy pattern, I think is quite lovely and mesmerizing. You could almost stand here and watch it for hours. We've made it here to the Yuyuan Gardens, which are just there behind this pond. The famous Nine Bend Bridge leads the way to the entrance from the Yuyuan Garden Bazaar. This is a traditional trading area. These buildings are of course a lot newer, and as a result it's always quite popular here, even on a late winter mid-week day here. Chinese holiday spring festival period wrapped up just about a week or so ago. So we always have these large sculptures here left over from the Lantern Festival. Now, Yuyuan Gardens is one of, if not the most popular tourist spot in Shanghai, which is why it's still quite a lot of people here on a relatively nondescript midweek winter's day. So let's cross the bridge and go and have a look at the garden itself, shall we? But just before we do, you might remember that in line 11 we went to Nanshang on the outskirts of Shanghai and tried Xiaolongbao there, which is the home of the Xiaolongbao. And this here is the Nanshang Steamed Bun restaurant, which always has quite a large queue, even here on a weekday. So yeah, don't go here, go to the actual Nanshang and try your Xiaolongbao there. Here we are in the Yuyuan Gardens. Now, these gardens were first constructed in 1559 by a guy named Pan Yun Dan after he failed one of the imperial examinations, and he did that to comfort his father, who was a minister at the time. Now, Yuyuan means comforting or soothing to one's parents, so imagine if every child who thought they'd failed their parents did something like this, what sort of a world we would live in. Now, this is very well preserved, even though it's been repaired, rebuilt quite a lot over the centuries. Yuyuan is definitely one of Shanghai's top tourist destinations for a reason. It's a really amazing example of this type of Chinese garden, but it isn't peaceful and quiet, so don't come here if you're looking for a spot of solitude. So Yuyuan Gardens is a great example of gardens from this area of China, the Jiangnan area, dating back to the Ming and Qing dynasties. Now, where you're in the West, we might have this sort of real natural type of gardens. This style of Chinese garden has all these different scenes walled off from each other. It's almost like different outdoor rooms with different scenery, different ponds and pagodas and buildings and so on. So I might have been a little bit dismissive of the Yuyuan Gardens in previous episodes, particularly when I was down at Zuibaichi Park on line 9. Now, Yuyuan Gardens is an amazing example of this style of Chinese garden, and it is one of the top tourist destinations in Shanghai for a reason. But if you are after something a little bit quieter, would still recommend Zuibaichi Gardens, even though it is a little bit further from the city centre. Yuyuan Garden is fairly centrally located in what was Shanghai's Old Town, which is the fishing village that existed long before Shanghai ever became a thing with the international treaty settlements. Now, over the last few years, various sections of this old town have been slowly demolished and rebuilt into something newer, and we have this old section right behind the Yuyuan Gardens wrapped up like a Cristo. Now, given its proximity to the Yuyuan Gardens itself, which is this side of this laneway, you would hope that they have something a bit more sympathetic in mind. Maybe these buildings have been wrapped up for protection before restoration, I'm not sure. But I hope we don't completely lose the fabric and the history of what Shanghai's old town once was. That said, on the way back to the metro, I have just stumbled across this, the Chengshange Monastery. So there are still a few little pockets of history left that are resisting Shanghai's never-ending push to be brand new, clean and sterile. Lujiazui. Now I know we stopped off here all the way back on line 2, but stopped off here for a quick look again because it is one of the sites in Shanghai that you cannot miss. So we have made it across Pudong to the Pudong Football Stadium here behind me, home of Shanghai Port Football Club, fresh off winning their second consecutive China Super League title. When this stadium opened, Shanghai Port moved across from the Shanghai Stadium at Shijiahui. Their crosstown rivals, Shanghai Shenhua, moved from the Hong Kong Football Stadium to Shanghai Stadium. So it's a big game of musical stadiums. So Shanghai Port are owned by SIPG, the Shanghai International Port Group, and they were named SIPG Football Club for a number of years until recent rules around club names were implemented and they had to drop that down to the simple Shanghai Port. The stadium is in quite a quiet area. There's a little bit of an industrial estate across the road. What looks to be a new commercial district being built that might liven up the area once that's completed. Otherwise there's not a lot else here to see, so we'll push on to our final stop today. So we have made it to the end of the line, Guiqiao Road, and there really isn't much here. Construction site over there, bridge under construction, and the other end of the very large metro depot that we saw in line 12, which services line 14, line 12 and line 9. There does seem to be a few people using this dead-end street though. There was that disguised SUV we saw a moment ago, which the guy jumped out and asked me to not take a photo, so I told him to drive somewhere else. I mean, this is a public road. And this SUV behind us seems to have some sort of self-driving or mapping services, or the sensors and antennas attached to it. Yeah, a bit strange.
Perfect spot for spy photography.
So there's not really a lot going on here, but just around the corner, up the street a little bit, is a park I want to go and check out. So let's have a quick look while we're here.
Well, there is our answer.
And that is here, the Pudong Jinhai Wetland Park, which unfortunately closed half an hour ago. So I'll put that one on the list for a future visit. So then, unfortunately, instead of the park, we finish up with this wasteland as a backdrop. Maybe not that dissimilar to where we started today, which is a bit of an industrial and residential wasteland. We've seen some interesting stuff along the way, hit a couple of Shanghai's top tourist spots. Yuyuan Garden's always great, Lujiazui can't be forgotten either. So that's all for today here in Pudong. Hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop me a comment as well. We'll have line 15 coming up very, very soon. Looking forward to that one. And until then, bye for now.
We're now at the terminal station.